Yeah, I appreciate y'all having me, and I think Taylor put me in at lunch, so y'all be well fed and not kill the deer guy up here. Um, but I just wanted to give y'all a few updates on what's going on with the deer program, what we're doing to help alleviate some of the crop damage issues, not only with deer but with hogs as well. I get the wonderful pleasure of dealing with feral hogs, so something that not many people like. So we reformed the Feral Hog Task Force. It's a partnership between us and USDA Wildlife Services and Georgia Association of Conservation Districts, UGA, and a few other people. But we are working with USDA to get a dedicated helicopter in Georgia for aerial gunning of feral hogs. Right now, they kind of borrow a helicopter a few weeks out of the year, and they gather up a lot of land that they can fly and do the aerial control. It's one of the most effective techniques, but we're actually working on getting that helicopter based here in Georgia, and they'll be able to spend a lot more flight time. So we're really welcoming that. Some of you may be familiar with Georgia Association of Conservation Districts Feral Hog Control Custodian Program. We're working on that, some with them. We partnered with them to initiate a trap rental program, pilot study that we're doing in South Georgia right now. We got about 20 traps we've been renting out to landowners to see what these new high efficiency traps are doing, and hopefully encourage people to buy their own traps and keep that trapping effort going. But we're also rolling out a statewide program that the DNR is funding and administering. We're about to buy 60 pig brig traps and spread them around our region offices to run them out that way as well. So a lot of good things going on the hog front. There's a lot of money being put behind these efforts and rental programs. So a lot of good things going on there. Some things we've made, changes we've made in the last couple of years to the deer harvest regulations. We've increased doe days in the northern part of the state. They were most of the South Georgia was either sex all season, but we've expanded doe days, and we extended the season in Southwest Georgia as far as we could from a legal standpoint, and that far southwest corner. We've got our Deer Management Assistance Program, where we're able to work with private landowners, and if they've got an overabundant deer population, we can issue them more tags during the season if they're able to take them. And then this either sex day expansion, we gained about an increase of 30,000 deer in the harvest this past season compared to the previous few years. So we're making some progress on some of those fronts. Sorry, I got to turn around. I don't remember everything I got on my slides. So I got to look at it up on the screen. This is just a quick overview of the deer control permit process. If you've applied for deer control permit online, these are just some of the parameters that we require on that. Just for a little refresher, I'm not going to talk about every single thing up there, but you get the idea of the kind of information that you need to have on hand when you go to apply for that permit. And if you don't know, you apply for the permit in the same place you would buy a hunting license. It's gooutdoorsgeorgia.com, and you can submit a permit application. We'll review it, and we strive to have those back and out to the farmer within 1 business day. So we try to get a quick turnaround on that. All right. So here's some of the changes that we made in the last couple of years to the permit policy to make things easier and streamline things a little bit better. We've allowed the permits to be issued before the crop's planted, and we also allow the control to start happening as soon as the seed is in the ground. So this allows you to get a jump on it. Previously, the crop had to be basically up and growing and showing damage before we would issue the permit. So we've sped up that process where you can get out ahead of it. You know, as soon as deer season closes, you can get your permit, even if you might not be planting for several more weeks, but you can have it on hand and be ready as soon as it pops out of the ground. And we know a lot of damage is occurring right at that, you know, right when the plants are popping out of the ground. We have a lot more flexibility on bucks. We've seen a lot of cases where, you know, somebody's done a lot of control on antlerless deer, and they're sending me pictures and videos like this where the only deer out in the field, or majority of the deer out in the field, are bucks. So we're working with them on a request basis to allow a little bit more flexibility there when it's specifically bucks causing the damage. We've historically only done that when it's orchard trees and it's in the fall and bucks are rubbing and damaging Christmas trees or some other type of ornamental trees, but we've expanded it to row crops. We've allowing non-residents to serve as assistants. This was a request that came to us. We previously only allowed Georgia residents, but we have more recently increased that flexibility. And likewise, we had complaints about, you know, family members in the vehicle. You know, you're coming home from dinner and you want to swing by the field and you know, see if there's any deer out there, and you got your family in the car. Previously, they all would have had to been listed on the permit. So we changed that to allow immediate family to be in the vehicle while you're conducting control activities. We're also creating a new system for reporting the harvest when you let's say if you got a permit for 10 deer and you kill all 10 deer and you're continuing to have damage and you go to renew the permit. We're streamlining that process to easily report it back to us and request a new permit. So that's going to be coming out hopefully sometime in the next few months. And then we're trying to develop a much easier online application process. It's a little onerous with the field locations and all that. And we're making some progress, really trying to simplify that and make it easier. All right, now here's the one of the bigger things that we have going right now. You know, this crop damage issue has really been significant in the last couple of years, and I've met with a lot of legislators and my commissioner's office, and you know, they're asking me what can be done. And you know, frankly, we've got, you know, one of the longest deer seasons in the country. We've got a very generous bag limit, and yet, you know, in certain areas, people just aren't killing enough deer. And the only way you're going to encourage them to kill enough deer is to provide an easy outlet for them to donate them. So the General Assembly appropriated $300,000 for us to expand the Hunters for the Hungry program. We're going to be focusing that effort in our predominantly agricultural areas. We've also put with it some federal funds, and we're funding a position with Georgia Wildlife Federation to promote and administer this program, but also to fundraise and try to build off of that, bring in more funds from donations and expand the program further. So there's a lot of great things. We're hopeful that we're going to keep getting this money on an annual basis and keep expanding this. But this is the biggest movement we've seen on this type of pursuit that I've ever seen. That program, Hunters for the Hungry, it's been around for years, and it's been operating on about $20,000 to $25,000 a year. So this is a big chunk of money for them to expand. So we're looking forward to really getting that out there. We're going to dedicate every penny of that $300,000 to processing fees. All the administrative overhead we're paying out of the federal fund. So every dime of that's going to processing. And it's on top of that, it's a great program that helps families in need in the state, and it's ideally, you know, we want hunters to kill these deer in season so that farmers don't have to kill them in the summer. That's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to get those reductions down at a cooler time of year when it's safer from a meat handling standpoint, and also preempt the damage before it occurs and not be reactive to it. So this is a proactive step that we're taking. And finally, one of the main reasons Taylor wanted me to come, we're in the process of our next well, it was a 10-year deer management plan. We're shortening that down to 6 years because things change so rapidly. So we're going to do it on a 6-year basis going forward. But we had some public meetings in the spring, and the main part of that was the online version. We had an online questionnaire with all of our key issues related to deer management. I think Farm Bureau actually sent that out to their membership as well, so we got a lot of input from our agricultural producers. And we had a good amount of participation at the Statesboro meeting, especially. But that's a stakeholder-driven process, and it always has been. As an agency, we manage deer for the people of the state, and we manage deer the way people want us to. Now, it's everybody's interest combined. It's the hunter's interest, it's the farmer's interest, it's the motorists that hit deer on the road, it's the people that live with urban deer. But we make our deer management plan as a set of recommendations from the public to us on how they want us to manage deer, and then we spend that next time period working on those goals that are given to us from those stakeholders. So we've solicited public input. We're also about to do an online and telephone survey that's a pretty substantial effort. But in the previous deer plans, we surveyed hunters, Georgia residents, which could be anybody, but non-hunting Georgia residents, and then landowners. And this year we've added to that a distinct category that's just farmers to that, in addition to landowners, recognizing that not everybody's necessarily farming land that they own, or they're leasing land, that sort of thing. So we wanted to capture it there. And also we form these stakeholder committees around each key issue. And crop damage is a key issue on its own, and we'll put together a group of probably 10 to 15 people, and we get anybody and everybody on these groups. It might be somebody that's representing an organization that's affected by that key issue, and then it could be just an average person that isn't politically connected or anything, doesn't have an affiliation with a group. They're just a farmer being impacted, or a hunter that isn't associated with a hunter group or anything like that. So this is a really grassroots, public involved process, one of the best in the country, as a matter of fact, and it's really served us well and been good for deer management. Sometimes it takes a little while. Sometimes the population gets a little higher, and it takes us a little bit of time to get it under control. Those are normal ups and downs, but the bottom line is we listen to the public, and I mean, that's what we're doing this for. We're managing, the deer are a public resource, and we try to manage them as responsibly as we can for the benefit of the public, positively and negatively. So, and I believe that's it. That's what's going on in the deer world, and I'll certainly can entertain any questions, but I'll hang around for a while too if y'all want to come up individually and pick my brain on something. So, thank y'all very much.